Buchman with the Potomac Bead Company, and I'm going to do a bracelet for you today with one of the newer beads. This is a bead out of the Czech Republic, and it is called the Zero bead. So the Zero bead, like you can assume, is shaped like a Z. The holes go through lengthwise through the top and bottom of, if you hold it like a Z, it's going to go through the top and the bottom of the Z. Or on the side here, like an N, it goes through the top and bottom of the N. So it's going vertical or horizontal, depending on how you hold the bead. So the Zero bead is what we'll be using and focusing on today for this circuit bracelet. Reminded me kind of computery, so I decided to call it something computer-based. And we are going to be using the Zeros in black diamond. If you need any of the materials to do this circuit bracelet, you can go to the left-hand side here and we'll do a little drop-down menu for you. You can click on that and that'll take you to any of the products that are used here in this video if you want to purchase them from me online. Also, if you don't have those little pop-ups, sometimes with different mobiles or different tablets, it won't have those. Underneath the video, there's a little description. And if you press down on the arrows of the description, with the Show More button, it'll give you links to all of these different products as well. So I kept it simple since this is the first time I'm using the Zero beads. And other than the Zero beads, which again I'm using, excuse me, that black diamond color of the Zero beads, I'm going to be using some 11-0 seed beads and some 8mm Swarovski cubes. The 8mm Swarovski cubes that I'm using are the light peridot color, and the 11-0 Miyuki seed beads that I'm using are the Duracoat Light Galvanized Pewter. I'm also going to close off the bracelet with a cup button, and this is the Crystal Vitrail cup button, and we'll be working with that one to kind of pick up on that AB coating of that black diamond bead as well. The whole thing will be strung on some .006 green wildfire beading thread, and you also want to have handy a thread burner or a thread zap, 2 needles, because we're going to be working with 2 for this project, and I have on here 2 size 10 beading needles. 10s or 12s will work, either will work for you depending on which you feel more comfortable using. If you want to and you like to glue, you also may want to have some super new glue handy as well to glue down the ends of your thread. To do this circuit bracelet, you are going to be using about 7 to 8 of the Swarovski cubes as we create the bracelet. 1 tube of Zeros will do it for you since we're just going to use 4 per cube. If you don't want to use a ton of cubes, you can also expand this section here of the ladder stitch, which I'll go over as we get our project ready. To start our project, it is a project that just goes down one way and we don't have to come back. You can design your project more or add more to it and come back on another time on your own. And I'd love to see that on some of our different social media pages, what you guys do with the Zeros and how you take this circuit bracelet and kind of make it your own. But I'm just going to be doing it in a very simple form. We are going to start with our button and little piles of all of our beads with about 6 feet of our beading thread ready to create our bracelet. So to get started with the circuit design, we're actually going to start with our cup button. In the middle of our cup button, we'll put just 3 of our 11-0 seed beads. So I have my needle and thread, 1 needle on either side of the thread of that 6-inch piece, and I put those 3 seed beads on one of the needles. Now pick up your cup button and put the cup button on so that 1 needle is through the right side and 1 needle is through the left side with the dome facing down. Pull that to the bottom of the thread, making sure that you still have an equal amount of thread on each side. After that, go ahead and exiting the cup button, add 3 11-0s on both the right and the left needle, and let those drop down next to your button. After that, we're going to start our series of kind of those connection points for this circuit. Go ahead and add 3 more 11-0s on your right needle, And then take your left needle and pass through those same 3 11-ohs going in the opposite direction. So one needle goes through those beads going right to left and the other from left to right. Again, make sure your threads are still even and pull those down right next to the button. Again, we're going to pick up 3. Same thing. Go through the one needle from right to left and the other from left to right. And let those drop down as well on top of the 3 previous beads. We're going to do that one more time, adding a group of 3 and crisscrossing the needles between those groups of 3. Pull the thread down, making sure that you have those 3 beads then sitting on top of your last grouping of 3. Now comes the fun part where we actually get to add in the zeros and do our little cubic kind of shape. So the cubes are going to sit that the holes are going vertical right along the bracelet when we're building the bracelet from bottom to top. The zeros are going to frame out the actual cube here. So you're going to kind of line them up because the AB coating is only on one side and it's not an AB full. Go ahead and line them up ahead of time so you know exactly which way you're going to pick up the zeros and put them on, so that way when you are doing your project, they are going to line up correctly. So I'm going to line up that I have them entering or exiting right along the top here, and the zeros right along the bottom. The reason, again, that I'm lining them up ahead of time is because one side is just that black diamond and one side is the AB. So I'm going to focus on seeing the AB on one side and the black diamond on the other. So I've already done this one here, started with that same component that the AB is on one side. And if you flip over, it almost looks like a completely separate bracelet, a little less blingy on the other side. So now with our needles in our hands, I have my right needle and my left needle. I'm going to go through with the right through my zero, my cube, and my top zero. Let that drop down. Then I'm going to pick up the left side. And the left side, I'm going to go through the zero, the cube, and the zero bead. Pushing that all down next to those groupings of 3. When you pull it down and kind of pull it together, you're going to notice that it doesn't want to sit quite nicely right away on the cube. Don't worry about that. Just kind of push it down onto center, and we'll go in now and make sure that those cooperate. Above the zero beads, with my right needle, I'm going to add 3 11-0 seed beads. And I'm going to come down then the right hand side here after adding my left needle through those 3 beads in the opposite direction. What this is going to do is crisscross those 3 beads above the zeros and kind of lock them in place and hold them stable a little bit more until we get in and we can kind of make them sit really nicely. Now that we have those 3 beads, we get to come down the sides. So the needle that's on the right hand side now, we're going to add 3 seed beads. And we're going to come down the side hole of the zero. You will have a little bit exposed thread there. Don't worry about it too much. You can kind of pull as you're going, It's not until we come back up that we want to make sure we don't see any more. Picking up 3 more 11-0s, we're going to go from the outer hole of the top 0 to the outer hole of the bottom 0. And pull. Coming out that bottom hole then, we're going to add 3 more 11-0s and sew through the last grouping of 3 at the bottom. So the needle on the right side is now coming out on the left. Give a nice tight yank. Picking up the left thread now, we're going to put on 3 more 11s. Go down through that second outer hole of the 0. And that's going to put those 3 beads right along the top. 3 beads then go along the side of the 0. I'm just going to flip it so you can see a little bit better. I'm going to go through the second hole of the bottom 0 on the left side. When I'm through that second hole then, add 3 more 11s and take your needle from the left side over to the right side of the project through that base line of 3. At this point now is where I want to give a nice tight yank to get rid of any extra thread that may be showing in my first little circuit there. To progress and to add in more circuits, we're going to go back through the middle hole or that inner hole of the 0 with the right needle, up through the size 8mm bead cube, up through the top 0 bead, and give a nice little yank. On the other side, same deal. You're going to go up through the 0 and out. You can see I'm kind of bending the 0s to the side there in order to get in between my cube. Go up through the cube, up through the left-hand upper 0, and out through the top. Give a nice tight pull and a yank on each one. Once you have that first little circuit done, we're going to progress and add in more. To add in more, the needle that's on the right-hand side is going to cross through those 3 11-0 seed beads that sit above the 0 beads. It's going to sew in from the right-hand side and out that left-hand side. The needle that's on the left will mirror that, going in on the left of those 3 beads and out on the right. We're now set up exactly like we were at the start of the cut button. So again, to start, we're going to crisscross through some beads, adding 3 11s, and then crisscrossing with my other needle going from left to right, and let those fall down next to the first circuit. I'm going to do one more group of 3, again crisscrossing through these 3. So 3 is kind of the count for the whole project. You have 3 on the sides, 3 along the top of the 0s, and 3 groups of 3 that you're crisscrossing through. Once you have that third set on, it's time to go in and create your next circuit. So again, take your cube, line up your 0s so you're making sure that they have the correct placement with beads coming out the top and the bottom, making sure that you can see the coloring that you're going for on the same side. And once you have your 0 in place, you're going to go ahead and string on and continue on just like we did with this previous little circuit here at the first. We're going to continue on then adding in these little circuits one by one and expanding the length of the bracelet. As you reach the end of the circuit bracelet, and on my bracelet in particular, I ended up with 6 of the cubes. If you have a bigger wrist, you may need, like I said, up to 8 of the cubes, but I can show you how it fits on my 6.5-inch wrist. I'm ready for my loop there. So if you need 7 or 8 cubes, you may want to add those in as well. So I have my 6 cubes done, and I have my grouping of 3, just like I would be getting ready to add another one of my Zero beads. Instead of adding another one of my Zero beads, what I'm going to do is add a loop for my cut button in that crystal vitriol to sit through. To add the loop, I'm going to pick up the right needle and simply string a lot of my 11 O's. I'm going to thread about 28 onto the needle. And that's going to make my loop. Once I have the seed beads on the needle, and I know that the loop is big enough for your cut button or your clasp to go through, you're going to take the needle that's in your hand and go back through those last 3 beads, coming in from the left-hand side and out the right. What that's going to do is bring the beads that you have just strung into a circle. Now, to reinforce that loop in that circle, I'm going to pick up my left needle and trace back through all of those seed beads that are part of the loop with the left needle to reinforce. Go back through all of those beads. And once you're at the bottom, go ahead and cross through that last grouping of 3. So that way your needle will exit back on the left side. Pull nice and tight, and that's going to get rid of any extra thread that you may see in the project. Once you have that pulled nice and tight, sew down the project with the right needle to the second grouping of 3. Take those 2 threads now and tie them together. Right over left and left over right. The cool thing about this circuit bracelet is that it is reversible because one side has that AB coating and the other side has the black diamond and gives you all that crystal shine. After you have a couple knots in there, I'm going to go in with my thread burner, burn those thread ends down, and then create a stop basically with the thread ends by burning them down flush against the project, making sure that I'm not burning the knots that I just created. If you want to, you can do a little dab of glue on there. Kind of push them to the one side. You can see, so on this side it has that black diamond look, and then when you flip it over, you get that nice bright side, almost kind of that emerald. It reminds me kind of the Emerald City of Dorothy there, but it has that almost green circuity look to it, so that's why I went with that name. And once you're done, you can wear your circuit bracelet, and that vitriol cut button on the back there has that nice iridescence that matches those AB beads. If you're feeling a little bit less flashy, flip it over to the other side and go ahead with that black diamond side. So it's kind of a fun when you use things that are the AB rather than the full AB that don't have it on both sides. You get that fun variety to it. Again, if you need any of these materials to do the circuit bracelet, you can go back to the video at the very beginning where I kind of showed you the materials that were used and the Zeros and about those, and did the little drop down on the left-hand side. If that little drop down on the left-hand side didn't pop up for you, never fear, underneath the video, there's a description of what the video is about. Underneath that, there's a little button to press down and press a down arrow that says show more. That'll give you links to the different products, if you want to purchase them as well. Also, if you'd like to, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel to get regular updates on new products like the Zero beads, as well as new projects that we create. Also, you get updates on what's going on in the beading world, what new products are coming out, what we're up to, and what is going on in the industry. You can also suggest that a friend subscribe and share this video with a friend in case they're wondering what the Zero beads are, or they have some cubes that they haven't used and we need some ideas to use with those as well. You can also stay connected with us on Facebook and on Instagram and on Twitter. And if you'd like to, you can become a member of our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. Show off what you make with the Zeros or the cubes. Show examples of things that you're doing. Answer questions for people that they may have. And really just become an interactive part of a great forum of people that create wonderful designs, are super helpful, and it's a nice encouraging place to check out. So, as always, everybody, thank you so much for watching this fun circuit bracelet, which, as you can see here, I just kind of curved it to give you an idea. It would be a stunning necklace as well. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and have fun making the circuit bracelet.